Unbelievers with L&L.
Hello.
Hello, L.
How you do?
I'm feeling a bit saucy.
Oh, saucy or sore today?
Saucy, but
saucy.
yes, also sore.
Oh,
No, I'm no longer feeling saucy.
I'm not saucy. I'm just
So
thinking about
sore.
the pain.
Yeah.
Oh, from
Yeah.
our workout.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not mad at it, but yesterday I did tricep dips for the first time. The ones where you got your hands on the bench behind you and you're lifting yourself off.
You're dipping?
Yeah, you're dipping and you're lifting. Mm-hmm. Right, I did those for the first time, like, I'm pretty sure since I had my son. So it's been like
nearly
4
4 years,
years.
yeah.
And I literally cannot lift my arms
Aye.
above this level. If you're watching us, I cannot lift it. I cannot lift it above
Yeah, it's
this
just like
level.
about shoulder height is like as far as you can lift.
Yeah. I was trying to do my eyeliner today in preparation for today's recording. That was a struggle.
Eyeliner's not even that high, but actually as I'm lifting my hand, I'm like, I'm in a bit of pain.
It's high. It's higher than what you think.
Maybe that is why I struggle to do my makeup, because I don't think I'm ever like in the positions I should be. I don't think I'm ever like, because I'm just doing everything lazy like. Like my shoulder, like my elbow is at my chest and I'm just like, like I'm very closed in. But you know why? It's because my shoulders go inwards. Like,
Yeah, you're like-
I have that coat hanger thing where like they curve
hanger?
in. It's like my chiropractor told me it's like a coat hanger thing where they, you know, coat hanger, how like those fancy coat hangers for like a suit.
They're a bit like...
They go inwards.
They remind me of like an old Hollywood pose.
Oh yes, like yes,
darling,
like,
yes.
yes, except mine are just the natural bone is like
Yes. But you're constantly in like an old Hollywood actress.
But I look
Just
like
put your hands up like this a little bit. I'm in distress. Help me, Charles.
Charles.
I don't know.
Oh yes, but yes, my curvature. Maybe that's why I close inwards.
Curvature.
Yes, curvature. Word.
Word. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. I had to hold my arm today to
Like,
put
hold
my
one arm to
eyeliner
support
on.
the
So I
other.
had to like have one as like a desk. One arm as a desk, leant my elbow on it.
Like you went into book like author pose. Like
Yes, but I was putting my eyeliner on.
let me put my microphone down so I
Yes,
can
demonstrate.
just be like
Mm.
yes, but usually
Didn't you notice how smart I looked when I was putting my eyeliner on? Joking. I was like author,
I take
smart
things too
people.
literally.
Smart people are authors, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
smart people are authors.
smart.
Yes.
Have you been?
I keep forgetting everything.
Yes.
Like non-stop. It is this past week. I don't know if it's the lack of sleep or the
Probably.
like the lack of like nighttime sleep or the fact that my brain just does not function well in general.
Maybe a little from column A, a little from column B.
Yeah, look.
That's a Simpsons quote.
No, I definitely feel like this week I've always had like crappy memory in terms of short-term memory. Long-term memory, I'm like, damn, I can't.
Yeah,
the
you got,
memories
you got great
the
long-term
years.
memory here.
But for like the little small things day to day, I'm a bit forgetful. Obviously, the ADHD does not help with that. However, this past week has been insanely
Insane.
forgetful, like next level.
Can you give me an example?
I can't even remember. Like that. No.
Yes.
Like for example, yesterday when we went to the gym.
Sorry, I have to bite my nail off.
That's fine.
Go.
Yeah. Ugh.
Go on.
Says me that bites my nails like 24/7, eating the sides of my skin like 50 times a day. Anyway, I was in the car with you yesterday on the way to the gym as an example, and I was like, oh, I had this amazing idea, blah, 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 blah. And I thought of every single idea that I had remembered from earlier, and midway through, like from the time I was like, had that thought and then said to you, oh, I'm about to tell you this, it was gone, and I could not recollect it.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just little things. Then, like, similar to, like, just at work, small things at work I've been, like, forgetful about. And they're not important things as such, but they're just, like, clearly things that are just not storing properly.
Yes.
And I think something to do with, like, your sleep is meant to, like, when you sleep, you're meant to, like, that's where the storage mode happens. Like, everything's loading
like
is how I like to
updating.
look at it. Yeah, everything's updating. I haven't had an update in a while, I don't think.
Yeah, you probably need to update.
My software's behind.
Yeah, you need to get on top of that. My husband is on me like a dog about updating my phone.
Oh, I thought you meant your brain. I'm like, sleep.
Yeah, but
sleep
that
is
too, that's what
important.
I'm saying. Like, if he's saying you need to update your phone, you need to update your brain.
Is our brain not in our phone nowadays?
That is so true. And to that, I keep saying to you, you need to write things down.
I know, but I have to remember to write them
it
down.
down.
Yeah.
It's an endless cycle.
It is. It's an endless cycle. And then once I write it down on the phone, it's gone. Like that, it's just a brain dump, so I don't have to think about it again. And then every now and then I'll go through all my notes and I'm like, what the hell did that mean?
What does that mean?
What did that mean? What was that? Sometimes I have... Okay, another example of my forgetfulness. It's been bad. I'm telling you, it's been bad.
Yeah.
I forgot to pay my rego, first forgetfulness, right? Which, let's be honest, I forget
registration
for your car rego, right? I still said rego. I forgot to pay my registration. So, as I do every single 3 months, and it expired, so I had to log into Vic Roads so I could pay it again.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot my password as I was like trying to log in. I'm like, weird. I thought this was the password. Okay, I'll reset the password. This is like one night, right? I reset the password, pay the thingy, and then the next day I had to log in for something else, like to just check something, and I forgot the password I had made the night before. And I'm like, fuck this. What the hell? I kept trying all these passwords. I'm like, this sucks. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to reset the password again.
Yep.
Literally, not even an hour later, I forgot the password again. And I'm telling you, I probably made the same password for all three. I don't know what password I made. If I went to log into it now, I would not know what password it is.
No, it would be the same password, but with something slightly different.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right?
But I tried all the I tried them.
Ah, yes. Yes.
It's just so hard.
It is very hard, and that is quite the dilemma.
I had to change it 3 times in the space of 24 hours. That's bad.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. And sometimes maybe one of them was a spelling error. Do you ever check it? Do you ever press show when you're setting a new password?
Sometimes, but then you know what it is? When I press show, I start to panic a little bit because I'm like, oh my God, is someone hacked into my computer and is reading me press show?
Someone over my shoulder reading my password?
Yeah, and I'm like...
through the laptop?
Like, does it matter if they see it? Because, like, this
laptop?
password... But then I guess it does matter because this password could be a password that's up for something important that I forgot as well. So I don't know.
Ah, yes.
I don't know.
Well, that's why it's important to update your passwords.
And update my brain.
PSA... Update your passwords, make them different rather than just doing one character different.
Or like a capital letter.
Or adding an extra number.
Gosh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or
exclamation
9
point.
ones.
Yeah.
1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Oh, no. I have like a system.
Yeah,
and you know what it is? Because of my, I don't know, it's just the way my brain works. I feel like I'm betraying the passwords if I stray away. Or I start to think to myself, I'm going to forget them even more if I do something different.
Yeah.
And then... If I put, sometimes I'll put my passwords as like little, like, I'll do like a, what's the word? Like a Morse code version of them in my notes to be like, this is the password for this. But like, I don't fully write out the password. I give myself clues. But the clues don't make sense to me when I read the clues. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
How often must this happen? Like every week I'm changing a password for something.
I'm with you. I do the exact same.
Every week.
Fuck these passwords. What are they for?
Everything.
That's true.
My life.
That's true. They suck.
They suck. It's actually this, especially when it happened the 3rd time this week. I was just like, "What is wrong with me?"
That's enough to throw a fit.
Yeah, I literally was just like,
yeah,
defeated.
Yeah,
life won.
Life won that day.
L0. Yeah,
life won.
L0.
Life won with 1.
1-1.
L, first world problems. That's all I can say.
It is.
Yeah. Most definitely. Now to the meat and beans. Elle, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about friendships.
Friendships.
Yes.
Like the corners of my mind. That's not the word. What is it? Memories. Like the corners of my mind.
My mind.
But I said friendships.
Yes. No, this one was something that was actually like a episode that was sparked in... What's the word?
Requested?
Requested. It was not, but it sparked inspiration because of the request. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what requests do.
I'm dumb, guys.
When someone requests something, you're like, yes, I'm going to talk about that. And it's sparking your mind with the interest of talking about that topic.
It does. So, yes,
I'm
anyway.
exhausting today. Jesus Christ.
I'm exhausted in general. It's just... I've been a hot mess. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hot, but mess.
Hot mess.
Hot.
Like, mess.
Yeah.
Not like an ow!
More like an owl. I think more like an owl. Like I'm
Like
on fire.
overheated.
Yeah.
Hot flash mess.
Yeah. Hot flush.
Sweaty feet and
Sweaty
hands
palms.
mess. But not
Itchy
like
skin,
it.
like, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Sunburn hot.
Oh, you get sunburn often, but that is another tale for another day. But the viewers must know Elle is sunburnt 80% of the time.
Not always.
Yes, you are. Anyway, we're not talking about that right now, Elle, so don't go into it. We're talking about friendships and what they can do to a person.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mainly expectations in friendships.
Expectations.
Yeah, and managing expectations in friendships.
But before we do hop into it, we must ask a few things. If you could follow us on whatever platform you like to use for podcasts, that would be really lovely. And don't forget to tell a friend about us.
Please.
We're all about friendships, creating friendships. Creating friendships. This episode is about friendships. We expect you to tell the friend about us, meaning expectations in friendships.
That was such a long-winded explanation. Anyway, if you like what you're listening to, please rate us a 5 out of 5.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
On Spotify, Apple, and all the platforms you choose to listen to us on.
Instagram as well. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back with friendships. I've always been someone that's had a little amount of friends, not really a lot.
Yeah.
And I find that beneficial, mostly. Like, from my point of view, I think it's beneficial to have, like, true core friends.
Yeah, like a small knit. Yeah.
Yeah, small knit, rather than having a big group. But then again, I could be saying that to myself to make myself feel better about not having a lot of friends. But there's a lot of pros and cons. I think the one thing that comes with having very little amount of friends or a very small knit group, I feel like the expectations can be higher.
Yes, good point.
So you depend on those people a little bit more. So when things don't meet your expectations, it hits a little bit more. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that was very self-reflective, and I would probably agree, because I notice the friendships in my life that I have where I'm more so the friend for them that they go to for everything, because they don't have another friend they can talk to about that stuff. Those are the friendships where I don't meet their... I'm there for them, but I feel like the expectations are... Yeah, they're harder for me to always live up to. Like, they're harder for me to always... What's the word? I feel like those friends are usually all similar in that way. Yeah. They always have higher expectations of me. Whereas the friends I have that have, like, another group of people or another core person for the same sort of energy in a friendship, if I can't respond straight away, if I can trust that they've got someone else to talk to as well about the same issue, or they're still going to have someone else to vent to, and there's not so much pressure on me to be, like, at their beck and call at every moment. So I think I would agree with that. I feel like I've gone through different phases in my life where I've had small groups of friends and large groups of friends, and not large groups of friends. I've never been one of those people that have, like, a group of 8 girls in one friendship group. I have groups of friendship groups where I'm, like, the only girl with, like, 4 or 5 boys, but that's, like, the largest groups I've ever really been a part of. Throughout, I do have a lot of groups of friends. Like, I have a lot of I've realized as I've gotten older, I'm like, I always thought when I was younger I didn't have many friends. I'm like, well, I actually have maintained a lot of friends since I was, like, 10 years old.
Yeah, so that is crazy to me, that you have thought to yourself at one point that you don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah, when I was younger,
Okay, when you were younger, because I've always seen you as someone who literally is friends with, like, 100 people. And not just, like, friends like, hey, how you going? Like, hey, let's hang out this weekend type thing. The other day, I asked you what you were doing today, and you sent me, I gotta go shopping, I gotta go to a baby's first birthday for my friend, then I gotta go to a hen's, and it was a
then I had
fucking
another
ridiculous list, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like, how can someone have such a busy schedule? Like, of just socializing.
My whole schedule outside of work is just socialization.
That is bonkers to me, because mine is the opposite, Elle. You know what I was doing that day? Playing Zelda. Zelda as my friend. That's my one and only friend. I'm just kidding. No, but to be fair, I was a little bit sick at that time. And
we understand. You had things. You had things. She saw a friend yesterday. It's fine.
All right, don't make it out so I don't have any friends.
Yeah, she had a friend.
I have friends. I had a friend, Elle. Had a friend. You don't even consider me as a friend. Jesus Christ. End the episode right there. Right there. Cut.
Guys, it's a touchy subject for us. We've had another episode where she called me her friend and I said she's my cousin. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do have a lot of friends.
You have so many friends.
Yeah, and you know
What's it like?
It's nice because I've managed the expectations with my friendship groups.
Yeah.
I think even my friends that have had higher expectations for the friendship, I don't communicate regularly because one of my issues as not meeting people's expectations is being a very shitty replier. Because of the ADHD and my forgetfulness that we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
However, because I'm aware of why I do certain things, when I do speak to my friends and when I do spend time with them, I'm constantly telling them why. I make sure at least when I do have the conversation with them, when I am interacting with them, I'm like updating them really truly on my soul, not really like just telling them basic everyday things.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they can understand, and then like they learn to manage their expectations around like, okay, I actually understand why she doesn't. And then that's same as me. Then I understand, then they communicate to me their expectations. Like one of my friends, she loves constant communication. She wants to be in the loop. She wants to know if I'm just feeling sick that day. She wants to know if I'm feeling a little bit sick that day.
Right.
And like it's really, really beautiful, and it really makes me feel like warm inside that I have a friend that wants to be part of it, like every little moment, and be in the loop. And sometimes I forget to update people on those things, and it's nice for me to, when I do speak to her and she puts in those expectations of the friendship with me, I can think to myself, wow, like, okay, I'm going to try put that extra effort to do that when I do remember to do that, because I know that that's what she's wanting from me. And then she, vice versa, is like, okay, maybe I'm not going to just like message Elle today. Maybe I'm not going to reach out to her as much today, because I know that like when she's ready, she'll talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've spoken about that a lot throughout the last, like,
Yeah.
we've had like a friendship for, I think, nearly like 15 years.
Yeah. And that's a really hard thing to do, by the way.
To maintain a friendship for 15 years, or to have the open communication.
No. To be able to think to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to message that person today because
it's hard.
I know like they're whatever, like they're probably got a bit going on today, so I'm not going to message, because I mean, I can speak for myself that I have a connection issue where I always really need connection, and I feel like the older I'm getting, the more I want connection.
Yeah.
So I find it really hard, because even though I want to put myself out there and I want to communicate with that person right then and there, knowing to myself, you know what, maybe I should just hold back a little bit, is a very like hard decision to make sometimes, especially when I'm feeling a little bit needy.
I understand that, and that's really like self-reflective as well, to just like be aware, like, hey, I'm feeling like I need this right now, but I'm also aware that they have their own life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's hard to do sometimes. Like, sometimes we're so wrapped up in our own world, and we depend on our friends so much to just be right then and there. We think that they're like meant to drop everything to just come to our needs sometimes. But then upon self-reflection, it's like, okay, let me remind myself that they also need me as a friend just as much. In the request we got for this actual episode, it was a scenario where someone lost a friendship because they couldn't attend to their friend in the one opportunity that the friend gave them the opportunity to attend to. So a friend had asked this person to come to their house at a certain time in the morning, and didn't take into consideration that this person was jet lagged, didn't take into consideration that something traumatic had happened to this person in the last like couple of weeks prior, and they were still recovering from it. And there was a reason why they slept in. There was a reason why they didn't get the chance to reply as soon as they could. And when they did finally wake up or get the chance to reply and say, hey, I'm running a little bit late, the other friend, just their expectations weren't met, and they were just like, nope, you know what, I'm done with you, and dropped the friendship altogether, just because that one person couldn't meet their expectation in one scenario. And I want to talk about that a little bit as well, like that person that drops the friendship, like the lack of self-reflection sometimes that we can have. I think we've all been in those kind of scenarios where at some point or some age where you're feeling so hyped up into like what's going on in your own world that when that person doesn't reply or doesn't show up for you in that split second, it's so easy to just go into they don't give a shit about me mode. Like, why am I friends with this person if they aren't willing to be here and be a friend? But then forgetting that they also exist and they also have their own separate life, and that you're like, in the nicest way, like the world doesn't revolve around you. And I think that like that's something I had to learn when I was a little bit younger, and I think a lot of my friends would say the same. Like, I think we've all gone through a phase where we've had a moment where we're like, well, actually the world doesn't revolve around me, and my friends also have their own life, and our partners also have their own life, and our parents have their own life. Like, I can't expect everyone to just read my mind and know exactly what's going on unless I tell them.
Yeah, that's 100% true. My question is, how many times has that happened?
Yeah.
So for that friend to just think to themselves, you know what, I'm done with this, you'd think there had to be previous experiences of a similar nature.
Yeah.
That would have had to happen for it to be like the last straw. Like, I've had it.
Yeah.
Maybe that person was feeling a bit needy that day.
Yeah.
And really needed that particular friend. But it all comes down to probably thinking about your expectations, and are they at a level that that other person can handle
or can meet at all, or like has the emotional energy to meet as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think as well a big part of that is the communication of the expectations. Communication, like, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you let me down today, yada yada. In this scenario, I do recall it being a scenario where there was no discussion of that. Like, there was no prior discussion of other times that this
so
has
it was
happened.
literally like that happened and the person was like, nah, you're dumped type thing.
Even if there was past scenarios, the other person wasn't aware of them.
Right, yes.
And so, and I think that happens a lot. Like, I've seen that in personal friendships as well. Like, I've seen that between other two people that I've witnessed from the outside, where someone is annoyed at the other friend, and I say, well, have you told them, have you mentioned to them that hurt your feelings, or that let you down, or that disappointed you? And they've said to me, well, no, like, I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to cause any further issues.
So you're causing the issue by not wanting to cause the issues.
Exactly, because then you build that up. You're still remembering that. You're still remembering that that's
and
like
you
a
grow
mark
resentment.
Exactly. And then time goes on, they do something else, and then you blow up and you use that moment to setting your boundaries, but they're no longer setting a boundary. It's more so being like unloading and dumping every bit of the last however many months or years onto this person, and then being like, I'm done with you. Because at that point, you're already done. You've already established, you've given yourself reason.
That's so true.
And
the other person, it's like, what the hell?
They're blindsided, because they're just like, oh,
that's a very good point.
And I think I've seen that happen time and time again. I've seen that happen as a child with my parents and their friendships. Like, I've seen that happen.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Because, like, my mum has a very softer approach to things, and she won't outwardly be
Some people really don't like confrontation, and they will avoid it at all costs.
All costs. And I've had other friends do that to me, where they do not like confrontation and they will avoid it. And it's so necessary. I can't explain how necessary it is. If you are someone that avoids confrontation and you don't like to get angry, or you perceive confrontation as anger sometimes, please, if you're doing if you want to work on something, working on that and holding boundaries to yourself and to others in a healthy way is like something that will be life-changing for you.
Yeah, it will definitely prevent a lot of issues.
100%.
If you're able to just say, hey, you know what, that hurt my feelings today.
Yeah.
And no one has to be nasty. No one has to be negative. It can be just a really neutral conversation. It doesn't have to be emotional.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be at all. It can, and you know what? If you have a quality friendship, the other person will handle that conversation.
Exactly.
And match that energy. They will match that energy and be like, that hurts my feelings as well to hear that I've made you feel this way. But at the same time, I can self-reflect and I can see how you've gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to take ownership of how I've made you feel. And then you can move on from there. You can set expectations with each other from there. But if you don't have that communication and you don't tell someone if you're not honest with someone when you're feeling a certain way about them, then the other person can only do so much. The other person can only know so much about what's going on for you.
Well, they only know what you tell them.
Exactly. That brings me to another point I had, which was friends that when you when they ask you for advice or when they are venting to you, and you'll have the friends that are brutally honest with those friends and just tell them like, hey, you actually, like when they're venting about a situation, they're like, oh, you know what, like this is actually what you could improve on in that scenario as well. Obviously validating them first, but then you've got the friends that will be honest with them, and then you've got the friends that will just tell someone what they want to hear because they, again, don't want to be confrontational, or they just think that being a friend means you're just always on their side blindly. And I like to think of myself as more of the first friend. Yeah. And sometimes that gets me in trouble, and sometimes I say things that might come across as I might get a defensive response back because some people are not ready to reflect on themselves. They just wanted to vent, and I get that. But I'd always rather be that friend that, because almost like I'm going to say more than 8 times out of 10, that friend will come back to me and be like, look, I actually listened to what you said to me, and although I responded defensively at first, you were right in terms of I shouldn't have said what I said in that conversation, or like I did have a part to play in why that relationship ended, or I did have a part to play in why like I should have handled myself a little bit better in this situation, shouldn't have I? You know, and then, but then you listen to what another person might say about the exact same situation, and they're like, go you, like you shouldn't have to like do that shit, you shouldn't, like that's all their fault, like fuck them, like mentality. And that's also has its place and it's well and good, but like it's also not helping the situation because you're kind of just pumping someone up to either feel like rage against someone else or not give them the opportunity to self-reflect and say like, okay, in every situation that happens in someone's life, there's usually 2 people, or if it's a 2-person situation, there's usually 2 parties that have like their own version of the story. Yeah. And like you're just helping them see like what the other person's perspective might have been. Yeah. And that helps someone reflect on their own actions and their own behavior. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. I think it's abnormal for someone to always just be an agreeer. Yeah. And to be like, yeah, I agree. To me that feels fake. Only because that as humans, I feel like we're meant to have differing opinions. That's what makes life interesting. That's what makes friendships work. Yeah. And I feel like if you are constantly agreeing, then you're just not giving that friend your true self as well. Yeah. And I think it creates a nice dynamic if you're able to just tell the friend what you actually think and be like, you know what, maybe I just disagree with you there. Yeah. And I think this and this maybe would have been blah, blah, I don't know, whatever you say. Yeah. But I think it's healthy to be able to show that side of yourself and be comfortable enough with that person.
I think it's important in a long-lasting friendship. Like
I agree. And then it will often take that other person to walk away first before they realize, oh, wait a second, and then come back to the friend. It doesn't mean, I'm like, you can't have it, but it doesn't mean that you're going to lose that friend. If they're true friends, you shouldn't be fearful that you're going to lose them over having a differing opinion.
Yeah, or even just helping them reflect on maybe the fact that they're, like, I've had so many scenarios where I've had friends that they're seeing someone and it ends poorly, and then they've reacted poorly in their messages back to that person, or even they've self-sabotaged in their relationship. And obviously I've got a background in relationship coaching, so I'm a bit more like alert when it comes to people playing out patterns like that. And I'm someone that will be like, do you see yourself self-sabotaging in this scenario? Do you see how you're kind of repeating the same pattern? Like, I'm just wanting to make sure that they're aware, like, hey, he or she was doing something that was, like, did say something that was really hurtful, and you had every right to be angry, but do you see how this part is the part you played in that situation? Or do you see how you're playing out this same pattern that I know you want to work on? And it's like I feel like when the other person is also aware that that pattern is playing out, and they're also aware, like, oh, this person always does the same thing, but they're just saying to them, oh, you know what, fuck him, or like, fuck that person, like, you did the right thing, you like, you don't need that person in your life, you don't need this. They're sort of enabling the behavior, and they're enabling a pattern in someone that they don't, like, that friend doesn't even want to have. Like, they're enabling the trauma response. Yeah. In my opinion. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think to a degree, yes. Yeah. But sometimes, like, depending
on scenario,
Like in any case, it depends on the scenario. If someone comes up to you and is like, oh, this person hit me. Of course, your response is going to be, fuck them!
Yeah,
you know,
no,
and then make it worse. And,
Yeah.
you know, not make it worse, sorry, that was the wrong choice of words. But, like, you know, get them hyped about how bad this is.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
You can get people hyped and
Yeah.
like, I'm saying in certain scenarios where they actually have done something, not playing
Yeah.
devil's advocate every time, only when
Yeah.
you actually notice and feel something, you're like,
Yes,
oh, that
if you
wasn't
have an
probably smart.
inkling that something's not maybe what your friend is saying.
Yeah. I think same, like, when I went to the Blink-182 concert the other night, there was 2 girls in the rows in front of me where one of them was very obviously on something or very drunk. I couldn't tell which one it was, but whatever it was, she was not in the right state of mind. She was pulling down her top. She was approaching, like, older gentlemen and asking them to touch her. It was just it wasn't a nice environment to be around, but at the same time I was observing the friend that was next to her.
Yeah.
And the friend that was next to her seemed much more sober than she was.
Yeah.
And she was just filming her the whole time. And she was just like kind of like pushing her to clearly just still act a certain way that the other girl, if she was in the right state of mind, probably wouldn't act like.
Yes.
And I felt like I looked at that scenario and I was like, there's sometimes friends that just they'll sit and they'll enable their friend to make not poor choices, but to like clearly the other girl it was like 7:00 on a Tuesday. Yeah. Like it wasn't like a space or time or an environment to be like that.
Yeah.
And like for her to be in a state where she's obviously taking things or drinking to that extent, something might not be like 100% okay with her internally.
Yeah.
And I feel like how hard is it to just kind of sit there and be with your friend, even if you still wanted to enjoy the show, like to sit there and be with them and just make sure that they are feeling okay inside.
Yeah.
And feel like they don't need to, even if they are going to do those kind of actions anyway, to kind of not sit there and make them feel like that's the best choice for them to do and not try and enable them. And it was just a really weird scenario to watch, but it also made me just reflect on like there are enabler friends and there are like that kind of enjoy seeing you in that light.
Yeah.
And then there are other friends that are kind of there for you to kind of pull you out of that scenario.
Yes. And I think in that case, if you have a friend that's enabling you to do stuff that normally you would be uncomfortable with, I think you need to sit down and think to yourself, when I'm with this person, how do I feel when I walk away?
Yeah.
And if that isn't a very positive feeling 95% of the time, then I think you need to reassess why you have that friendship with that person.
I agree.
Because I feel like in that certain scenario, if I was intoxicated, and I'm talking from me personally, let's say it's me and you.
Yeah.
If I was intoxicated and I started acting like that towards men or whoever, I would... It was
an unsafe scenario,
I would fully expect you to be like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, stop doing that. I would fully expect you as a friend to do that.
Same with me. I would expect any of my friends to sort of sit there and be like, come on, like, let's put ourselves in a safe environment.
Yes,
like a
I
healthy
agree.
environment. Let me not enable you to do these things further.
Yes.
And to make, like, you feel... And yeah, the whole scenario, I could explain more of it that made me even more realize that she was an enabler.
Yeah.
But I won't go into it too much. But I agree. I would expect my friends to sort of pull me up on it.
Yeah.
And to pull me up and be like, hey, like, what choices are you making right now? Or let's move into a safer environment right now.
I feel like that kind of goes into another point that I wanted to make is I feel like the best kind of friendships, or the friendships that you know that are the ones that you want to hold on to, are the friendships that make you feel safe or maybe feel connected to like that inner child within you, that bring out that silly side, that make you feel like a little kid again, like that
giggly,
safe
the
feeling.
laughter. I feel like the laughter is key. If I can, not just because they're funny people, but if you can just laugh really inside because you're both in that space of inner child when you're with each other, nothing feels better than that kind of friendship.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
You get to enjoy those are the friendships where you're actually present and you're enjoying life just by being around and living with around someone. Yeah.
So true. Like, those are the people that, you know, you want to have around you, because how you feel when you're around them kind of dictates how you feel when you're on your own sometimes, because you see friends pretty often.
Yeah.
Right? And often you walk away with the feeling that you had when you were with your friend.
Exactly.
And if that friend is giving you positive energy and is giving you the giggles and you feel like yourself around them, then that's a sign that that's a friend worth keeping.
I agree completely.
Yeah. But if you've got a friend that is making you uncomfortable and, you know, maybe your values don't align, or I don't know, you're just walking away feeling like, you know, I don't feel good about myself. I think it's a really good indication on whether that person is worth keeping around. And I feel like that particular problem is very, a higher chance of that happening is probably in high school.
Yeah, 100%.
And in your early 20s. You feel the pressure of having friends, on how it looks to have a lot of friends around you. So you probably find yourself in friendships that don't bring out the best in you.
Yeah.
But I feel like as you get older,
you weed through them easier. Yeah.
Most definitely. I think as you get older, and I'm not saying that we've got years of maturity and wisdom, like we're both nearly 30, but I feel like now that I'm nearly 30, I feel like it is so much easier for me to sit and think, you know, that person doesn't make me feel good. What's the point of having them so close to me like that? Like when 100%. I don't feel good about myself.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like I've had a phase probably a year or two ago where I started seeing, I was trying to make new friends that were interested in the same things I was interested in. So I was going on first date friend dates with people, and I would assess how I felt after leaving the scenario. And I'm like, okay, this person I feel really fulfilled with after I meet them, and I can hang out with them again. But then there's other people where I'm like, straight away I was like, oh, I didn't feel great.
Yeah.
The energy I got was not great. And that's not just new friends I've made in the last couple of years. It's also, then I started to notice it with my friends I see all the time. And I'm like, ooh, why am I second guessing? Why am I feeling like a bit icky after I hang out with this friend? Or why am I feeling like I'm doubting myself after I hang out with this friend? Why am I not feeling inspired after I'm seeing this friend? And I will kind of assess after every interaction with someone, like how I felt afterwards and how my energy feels. And if it's not feeling the way it felt before I saw them, or if it's not feeling better than when I felt before I saw them, then I'm like, okay, let me assess, is this because of something internally, or is this because of just in general what the conversation was, how we spoke with each other wasn't matching me anymore. And it's a hard decision when you notice that sometimes, to actually take it in and be like, okay, I'm going to kind of back off from this friendship slowly, or set expectations in a different way if it was actually circumstantial. It's hard, especially when you don't have many friends, for example. It's hard to then implement the boundary in that way.
Yeah, it's like what I said before. You take, if something happens between you and a friend, and let's say they're either your only friend or you're only one of two friends, it's a lot harder to make that decision, because it means if you don't have that person, you potentially don't have a friend.
It's so true.
And I think it's in my personal opinion, I think it's better to not have friends than have friends that make me feel like shit.
I agree completely. I think the same thing. I think you've got to look at it the same way as, do you want to stay with a boyfriend just because he's your boyfriend?
Exactly. And
you're not going to be single otherwise? You're not going to, there's a potential that you might not find another boyfriend, which the chances of that are very rare, right? Yeah. But it's the same with the chances of never finding another friend again are very rare as well.
That's so true.
It's the same thing.
It is so true. I think the aspects that make a marriage work, a relationship work, a parent-child relationship, or a friend relationship, any of them, the essence is the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing. It's all the same
it's all
sugar and spice and everything nice.
Wrapped in true, honest communication. Yeah. And just have mutual respect for each other and a mutual open understanding for each other. You might not understand everything, and that's another thing to manage expectations. You can't expect your friend to read your mind and understand every little thing that goes on in your life and how you would like to be responded to for every little thing. But as long as your friend is open-minded to do their best to understand you and to do their best to also self-reflect and to help you self-reflect, then there's not much more you can kind of ask for. And then it's just up to you. If someone's still not meeting your expectations of a friendship, then that's up to you to kind of to be honest with them and then kind of slowly remove yourself and set that boundary.
I agree.
Anyway, I feel like we've gone through a lot, but I know we have so much more to talk about, so I think maybe we'll have to do a part 2 for this one.
I think we'll need a part 2.
Yeah, because there was a lot more I could talk about. Yes.
Expectations in Friendship 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Ooh. I'm excited.
Or friendships, expectations in friendships gone wild.
Ah.
I'm just thinking of
Yeah,
cheesy
Up Late,
sequel
yeah.
names.
Yeah, the next one we'll make it at night time. We'll be like Up Late version.
Yes.
Yes.
Fuck him. No, as in
Yeah.
not
Yeah, I got ya.
literally.
I got
But
you.
you know, in a sense, like but
Yeah. My camera. I've been like having my eye on the camera every 5 seconds because it's like telling me like we're hot, we're gonna close, we're gonna shut down.
Die.
It's overheating.
She's gonna blow.
She's overheating, just as my body is.
Hot.
No, but I meant like how I'm hot, like exhaustion hot.
Oh, I
earlier.
think meant hot isn't
Like
like I'm
hot,
so sexy.
No, like hot mess. Yes.
Oh, Charles.
Charles, please.
Charles, help me, love.
Okay, guys.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope that wasn't a whole bunch of blab.
Probably was.
Probably was. Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.